Good evening and a very welcome to the Global Eye. I'm your host Mousumi, and today we bring you a conversation that strikes at the very core of justice, dignity and parity for our armed forces, or rather the defense forces. With us is a man who has stood steadfast not just in uniform but also in the courtroom. Yes, Colonel Mukul Dev, known for his relentless legal battle for the rightful use of the defense forces, he is the officer who took the bold step of approaching the Armed Forces Tribunal on the issue of Non-Functional Financial Upgradation NFFU or NFU, a fight that has now reached the Supreme Court and still lying on the table. While officers in civilian services and the CAPFs have secured NFFU, our soldiers remain deprived of this benefit, raising questions of equality, morale, and recognition. Colonel Mukul Dev's fight is not a personal one. It is a collective voice for thousands of men and women in uniform. Colonel, it's an honor to welcome you to the Global Eye. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, madam.
So you, Colonel Mukul, thank you for joining us. You are a man who has been fighting since long for the rights of the defense forces. Well, straightforward, will not take much of your time, but my first question to you is, sir, what was the turning point that made you decide to take the legal route on behalf of the defense forces?
Yes, madam, I'll try and explain to you. You
Yes.
see, after the Sixth Pay Commission, which came in January 2006, NFU was declared for the Group A services. However, the armed forces were left out, and we thought that our senior hierarchy, they will take on and they will get us our due. The matter kept on lingering for some time. And in December 2012, I was posted to Delhi in an appointment to be tenanted by an officer in Ministry of Defense. There I found that the civilian officers who were much junior to me, they were drawing more pay and allowances as well as the perks. And all that was because of the fact that they were being given NFU. They were all armed forces headquarter people. A stage came in 2014 when a civilian officer who was under my command, whose APAR, that is annual performance appraisal report, I used to initiate, all of a sudden he was granted NFU, and murmur started that now he would be writing my ACR. A person for last 2 years, I was initiating his performance report. Now, because of NFU, he says, I am senior to you because the Sixth Pay Commission has said that the grade pay would decide the status oblique seniority of any person. So now he said, I am senior to you because I am getting NFU. I represented this matter a number of times to my senior hierarchy, that is the general under whom I was. However, I found that there was reluctance. Nothing was moving. And I then decided that I will take the legal route. And hence, on 7th November 2015, I filed a case in AFT Delhi. That is how this battle started.
And when you first, sir, filed the case in 2015, did you anticipate it would become such a landmark struggle for, defense parity?
Madam, it is a very good question which you have asked me. In fact, for first 3 months, I was belittled like anything by my own hierarchy. Actually, most of them were not even aware what NFU is. And they were making a fun of me by saying that we don't know what he's asking for. We can't fathom what NFU is. In fact, the JAG officers, that is Judge Advocate General's branch of the Indian Army, who were opposing me in the court, they themselves were not aware what JAG is, what NFU is. And I was being ridiculed in the court. However, a stage came when I told the court that either you admit my case or dismiss, you don't linger it like this. And that is the time when the case got admitted. And that is how the battle started. But I did not that time fathom that the fight will go on for such a long time. We had number of people who got associated with us. Out of them, one is now a sitting judge of Delhi High Court, and she very actively participated in assisting us till such time the judgment came on 23rd December 2016. Another gentleman, Colonel Rajiv Manglik, who is an advocate, practicing advocate, he was also with me. And they are still with me. Now, that lady justice has moved because she has become a judge. But there are people who supported me that time. And the judgment came in our favor. The 97 pages judgment became a landmark judgment.
Right, it's interesting and it's also sad on the part of the armed forces or defense forces, rather. Like, it has been, 70 adjournments, and it's really, challenging. And the Armed Forces Tribunal ruled in your favor in 2016, as far as I know, if I'm not mistaken. Yet the
Yes, madam.
matter is still pending in the Supreme Court. How do you see this long delay impacting the morale of serving officers?
Ma'am, the judgment came, I will explain to you. The judgment came on 23rd December 2016. And within a couple of days, I was called by the then Raksha Mantri, may God bless his soul now, late Mr. Manohar Parikar. I went to his camp office in his house in the afternoon and he was very happy and he said, this is the right judgment and I will ensure that it is implemented. I was thinking everything is hunky-dory. However, on the same day, in the corridors of South Block, I met certain senior officers of my own hierarchy who were not happy with this judgment. And that was the time I noticed that there was a murmur that this judgment should not be implemented. As the
Right.
destiny was, Mr. Manohar Parikar moved away as back to Goa. And thereafter, an appeal was filed in April 2017 against me in Supreme Court. The matter was still taken in the right spirit. Earlier, one bench took it. Finally, the matter was finally heard on 12th of March 2019 for 5 hours in the bench of the then Justice Ashok Bhushan and Justice K.M. Joseph. The judgment was reserved. We were very happy that another 1 month or so, the judgment will come and the things will be sorted out. In this fight, when those 5 hours of final hearing took place in the Honorable Supreme Court, one gentleman, a senior counsel, Mr. Sanjeev Sen, came to our aid, pro bono, of course. He did not charge even a single pie from us. And he argued with us for 5 hours. And we all were very happy that the judgment will come in our favor. However, it is our senior hierarchy, especially the serving JAG officers and certain retired JAG officers who are practicing as advocate. They did some backdoor diplomacy with the Honorable Supreme Court, and that judgment was never delivered, and both the justices retired.
Oh my God. It's, I do not know the discrimination and why. Now, as we know that the CAPF have been granted NFFU, but the armed forces, or rather defense forces, remain excluded. So in your view, what is the government's core reasoning behind this discrimination? What is the reason actually? Because I do not think much of a fuss, and if the civilian counterpart is enjoying the same, why not the defense forces? So what is the government's core reasoning behind this discrimination?
Madam, if you take my candid view, the government is not against the armed forces. The government may not be even aware actually what is happening on ground. The present political dispensation, I don't think so that they would have been against the armed forces. It is the bureaucrats right from the beginning who are calling the shots. It is a bureaucracy which is denying the rightful dues of the armed forces. The Seventh Pay Commission has clearly said in its report that NFU should be stopped for everyone. And if it is to be given, it is to be given only to the armed forces because of their steep pyramidal structure. However, such recommendations of Seventh Pay Commission were not accepted, largely because our bureaucracy being against us.
Right.
That is my
And
reasoning.
how do you counter the argument that the military's unique rank structure makes NFFU unsuitable? How will you counter this argument?
Yes, madam, I will explain to you. You see, it's a very, very lame argument which is being given that the structure will not get them the or will not be suitable for their this thing. You see, we are not different in any way. If you compare us with IPS officers or even the bureaucracy, it is the hierarchy is same. It is not different. When they can get it, why can't we? Secondly, The implementation should be left to us. You tell us where is the problem in implementing the judgment. Why Mr. Manohar Parrikar at that time I said the judgment is absolutely correct and we will ensure that it will be implemented. Why all of a sudden this stand has been taken that our structure is such that it will not be suitable for armed forces? What is wrong in our structure? More or less, we are having the same structure.
Indeed. So, and beyond pay and pension, what intangible damage does this denial of NFFU cause to the ethos and dignity of the armed forces or defense forces?
Ma'am, if you look at it, today, everywhere armed forces are working shoulder to shoulder with the civil bureaucracy or the police officers. You see J&K, you see Assam, where you can call it even a unified command, where we are assisting them, though it is the job of the civil bureaucracy and the police to control the law and order problems. However, everywhere the assistance of armed forces is being taken. Now you just imagine a DCP or a SP of a district with 10 years of service, he is drawing NFU. And as I said earlier, that Sixth Pay Commission has said that the seniority shall be reckoned with the grade pay. He is getting more pay from in comparison to me. I have got more than 20 years of service, let's say. He says, no, I will not take orders from you. There is a command and control problem. Not only there, you see military engineering services. There are civilian officers who are being given NFU. There are so many cases which are going on. Litigation is going on in courts, wherein the civilian officers who are much junior to armed forces officers, they have refused to obey the orders of the military officers just because they are being given NFU. They have got less experience, they have got less qualification, yet if just because they are getting NFU, they say we will not obey the orders of the military officers. It has actually created so much of litigation.
And do you believe that this denial of NFFU is part of a larger pattern of diminishing status of the armed forces vis-a-vis civilian services?
Madam, no, I would not say that. It is only that an effort is being made by, again, I would say by our bureaucracy to put us down. In any case, they cannot do what the armed forces can do. Armed forces are being considered as the last bastion in this country. Wherever there is a problem, you call armed forces. But when it comes to giving them their rightful dues, you talk something else.
Right. Recently, we have seen that in all conditions, all severe conditions, we see armed forces are called, right from building a bridge to rescuing, stranded civilians, or even the CRPF, whatever, army is there. And there is also a question, it's not a question, but it's a doubt, if you see that the armed forces or defense forces are not given this NFFU, after, like, for example, a person, an officer, retires or not retires, superseded as lieutenant colonel or colonel, will he not be posted to field areas? Will he not given responsibilities? Will he not be separated from his family? I do not think responsibilities will be, discarded or diminished. I think responsibilities remain the same, except the rank is not promoted. So I think, what do you have to say here?
Madam, as the name suggests, it is NFU, non-functional financial upgradation. The rank remains the same. It is only the financial upgradation which you are giving him because of the steep pyramidal structure, because of lack of vacancies in armed forces, that he is only being given financial upgradation after a particular number of years of service. However, how does it relate to his postings or his tenures or his appointments or his work-related issues? He'll be posted anywhere and everywhere.
So if he is posted anywhere and everywhere, all the reason he deserves that, because even if he is not promoted, he's still serving in the severe areas where terror prone areas. He's still serving and he's still fighting for the nation. I think all the
Madam, that is what Seventh Pay Commission said, that NFU should be stopped for everybody else, and if it is to be given, it is to be given only to the armed forces because of their steep pyramidal structure. At the other places, it's a cylindrical structure.
Right. Answer in terms of retention of young talent, how critical is the outcome of this case for the future of the officer cadre?
Madam, already we are battling with an acute shortage of officers in the armed forces at the middle level. That is the cutting edge, I would say. Now, this thing has gone into the environment that armed forces are being deprived of their rightful dues, sometimes this, sometimes that, and it is better to join CAPF. Coupled with this, you will notice that there is an exodus. People are just waiting for 20 years to be completed so that they get their pension, since they have put in so much of hard work. And after that 20 years, they will just fade away. They will get their pension and they will do something else in the civil street.
Yeah, I have recently heard many officers are putting up their papers after 20 years of their services.
That is a fact. In fact, now for a couple of months, it is not there because it is expected that 8th pay commission will come. After 8th pay commission, the same thing will again start. We are losing a good talent. There are some very bright officers who are leaving us, which is not a good sign for the armed forces. We have to attract the young talent and we have to retain that talent. There are people who leave IITs. There are people who leave their plum pushy jobs and they join armed forces and now they are leaving.
Right. And if tomorrow the Supreme Court grants NFFU to defense officers, what immediate changes will it bring and what larger reforms do you hope it will trigger?
Madam, the main difference which it is going to make is the job satisfaction. Secondly, this problem which is going on, as I explained, in MES and in other such organization, ISI and other places, where civilian officers are saying that we are superior to you just because we are getting NFU, this complete problem will go away. Not only it will go away, even it will bring job satisfaction to both the sides and the working environment will become much better.
70 adjournments, sir. If I'm not mistaken, 70.
It is 73, madam, now.
73 adjournments. And it's been a long battle. And you are still fighting. How much hope you have?
Madam, I still have hope with our judiciary. I still feel, whatever one may say or one may not say, I still feel that our judiciary is impartial. However, the kind of comments which the Attorney General makes in the open court, of course, on the instructions of the bureaucracy only, that I can make a century of adjournment. This time he said so on 21st of August. And on my argument that so many of our comrades have expired waiting for this day to come, that when NFU would be granted, the answer was, I wish the law could have stopped them from dying. These kind of statements are being made by the Attorney General of India. I don't have any hope from our bureaucracy. It is only the judiciary which can bring us some respite. This is what my true feeling is.
I hope judiciary awakes sooner before it becomes too late. And how much support are you receiving from the service, serving officers and also the retired officers? Do you find that you are actually receiving the kind of support you need in the battle you are fighting today?
Madam, the support can be two ways. One is the moral support, another is the financial support. First, I will talk about the moral support. Ma'am, officers up to the rank of brigadier, whether they are serving or whether they are retired, they all are supporting me morally. There are so many officers who are major generals. They are also supporting me. Not all, but yes, so many of them. Lieutenant generals, they are already getting NFU. Why should they bother about us? Why should they support me? In fact, I faced death threats which were duly reported to Punjab police in the year 2020. I would not like to name that gentleman because now he is no more with us. May God bless his soul. But even that was orchestrated and it is duly documented with Punjab police that such and such threats came to me. However, I would say the senior hierarchy, whether working or whether retired, they are not supporting us. There is an acute opposition from the JAG officers, the top JAG officers of the Indian Army, for the reasons best known to them. They are not supporting us. They are opposing us in the courts also. And same is the case with others. Now, the second issue of financial support, madam, till date, I have not asked or sought any financial support from anybody, even for a rupee. If somebody can say that they have been able to support us financially, I'm ready to accept that in case somebody can say so. So these two supports can be there. I have explained to you what our support is there. Whatever I'm doing, Financially, it's all my own.
So, what must be the reason why actually the organization is against the organization? Because it is the organization who should be more bothered or should be concerned about the organization and the officers who are still serving and they have been waiting, and one officer is fighting a long battle. What must be the reason behind it? Why is the organization against the organization?
That's a complex question which you asked me, but I will try and explain to you, madam. If you stop our assessment system through ACRs, everybody will fall in line and the correct line. Today, it is the story of one-upmanship. If I can get a better ACR than you, if we two are the fellow officers in the army, then I will be promoted and you will not be promoted. It's only because of the ACR generated thing that these people are not supporting us. It is a false sense of these JAG officers that if they are able to defeat this cause, then they will be able to get promoted. I don't know where would they go. They will not be able to take whatever they are earning to their graves. Ultimately, all of us have to go there only one day. But this is what the system is.
Indeed. And if you think practically, sir, if we all think practically, how much time will it take, and or is it possible to win NFFU for defense forces?
Madam, as far as time is concerned, every date I feel that this is going to be the last date and we are going to finish this matter. Last so many years, especially after 12th March 19, when the full arguments were heard and the matter was reserved for judgment. I have been thinking of this only. In between, Corona came, hearings stopped, and again we have to bring it back on the track. As far as the time which I feel that it may take, madam, I am very hopeful that very soon it is going to come to an end.
And the organizational hazards, what more hazards do you generally frequently face when you go to fight or when you have a date and when you feel that you need a kind of support, but you find that there is an obstacle, there is a hazard, and what idea, like what pushes you to fight, and how do you overcome those obstacles?
Madam, till date, whatever battles I took, if you recollect, the government has stopped our entitled rations also in 2016, and I fought against that also, and I came out with flying colors in that, and the ration was restored finally. I don't pick up a fight which is not without a cause. I only take up the matters which have got some cause for the masses. As regards to your question that what I feel when I go for hearing, ma'am, there is always a conspiracy. These people, they know that we are going to ask for adjournment. 2 days, 3 days in advance, they are aware that they start ringing up my office, my colleagues, that what are we planning to do on this date. We come to know that what they are going to do. And we go and sit early in the morning there so that at 10:30 when the court sits, they will not just mention and vanish from there. However, they still do it. On the date or every date of traveling, I travel almost 150 kilometers both ways to reach there to do whatever is required out of me to do. However, it is the same story every time. They just seek the adjournment and they get away. It is these people, that is the government of India, who has filed the appeal. I have not filed the appeal. Now, once they have filed the appeal and obtained a stay order, they are just enjoying the fruits of that stay. I have even filed an application in 2021 that if they are not interested in this matter to be listed for hearing, or they are not interested for going in for full arguments, then let the stay be vacated. However, somehow that application has not been heard till date, and the stay continues and they are enjoying the stay.
And how do you think actually we can uh, make this voice reach to the civilians, to the people, to the citizens, to the organization, to the government? And is there any way, apart from fighting a long legal battle is always there, but do you think the voices are actually heard by the people, by the government, and what is a way out?
Madam, I feel last 10 years, the voices of anybody, be it me or be it anybody else, are not being heard. I feel, I'm sorry to say, that nobody covers our issue. Media is totally managed nowadays. Nobody is ready. Even if we approach some media person that this is what is happening, They say we will have to take a clearance from the Ministry of Defense. Otherwise, they will stop giving us ads. They will stop providing us free flights to Leh and other forward areas, and we will not be able to get the news. They will ruin our careers. This has happened. I do not want to take the names of those correspondents or the news people, but they have been telling me this, which is a fact. I am aware of that. So as far as the media is concerned, I don't think so they would be able to take on our issue because of the obvious reasons which I have just explained to you. Yes, ma'am, what you have done just now or what you are doing, it may reach the ears of so many people. Civilians are not even aware what the armed forces are battling with. They are only bothered about the armed forces when Ops Sindoor comes, or when Pakistan attacks, or when Pahalgam takes place, or even when a child goes into a borewell. That is the time they will talk about the army. Once the job is over, who is bothered about this Indian army? This is a thankless nation as far as the Indian army is concerned.
Right. Thank you so much. But one last question, Colonel Mukul Dev. Colonel, after years of relentless fight, what keeps you motivated personally to carry on this battle? And it's on and on. We do not know the future, but you are still fighting. So what keeps you motivated?
Madam, firstly, it is the cause which keeps me motivated. Secondly, I am associated with some such good advocates like Colonel Rajiv Manglek, Mr. Sanjeev Sen, who are pushing me. Even if sometimes I feel that I should leave that, they say, no, we will fight. And let me tell you, ma'am, it's a pro bono fight which is going on. Nobody is charging any money from me. I am myself a practicing advocate, and so is the other two gentlemen. Mr. Sanjeev Sen is a very senior advocate who fights so many cases in Supreme Court. They all are assisting me. And when I started this as a cause. So I'm still fighting as a cause.
Yes, Colonel Mukul Dev, salute your courage. First on the battlefield, now in the courtroom, stands as an inspiration. The struggle of NFFU is more than just about financial upgradation. It's about definitely fairness, parity, and honoring those who dedicate their lives to the nation. Thank you so much for joining the Global Eye. We hope we'll meet again after the next date, and let's see how it's adjourned, or we actually see you successful in your journey to receive the rights or to get the rights or the justice for the defense forces. All the best to you. I hope our voices reach the masses. I hope our voices reach the government, and I hope you get all support, and I hope you win the case finally. Thank you so much for joining the Global Eye.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Really grateful to you. Thank you, ma'am.
At the Global Eye, we believe that such voices must be amplified until justice is delivered. Colonel Mukul Dev, thank you for joining us and for continuing this fight, not for yourself alone, but for the entire fraternity of men and women in uniform. To our viewers, the question remains, if parity and respect are denied to those who protect our sovereignty, what message are we sending to the next generation of officers? Food for thought and a call for action. I'm Mousumi, and this is The Global Eye. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and keep watching The Global Eye. At The Global Eye, we believe that such voices must be amplified until justice is delivered. Colonel Mukul Dev, thank you for joining us and for continuing this fight, not for yourself alone, but for the entire fraternity of men and women in uniform. To our viewers, the question remains, if parity and respect are denied to those who protect our sovereignty, what message are we sending to the next generation of officers? Food for thought and a call for action. I'm Mousumi, and this is The Global Eye. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and keep watching The Global Eye. At The Global Eye, we believe that such voices must be amplified until justice is delivered. Colonel Mukul Dev, thank you for joining us and for continuing this fight, not for yourself alone, but for the entire fraternity of men and women.